And they're a little concerned before they purchase your book and read it and put that in time into it. They're kind of concerned that maybe you don't know where they're from, what kind of experiences that you might have had. Maybe you're just a little too vanilla.
Mm.
And can you give us a little bit?
That is so funny that anybody would ever call me vanilla. But that's hilarious, actually. But I know exactly what you're saying. There's a lot of people who, and I've been that way myself. How can they tell me anything? They don't know what I've gone through. They've never gone through anything. They've had this life of luxury and whatever. That I am not that person. Um, as a matter of fact, I can read you something if you'd like. I actually have my book on my phone.
Yeah, would you do that for us?
Sure. Give me just a second.
And then I can pass that along to some of my friends.
Yeah, and it starts out kind of sounding like I am goody two shoes, as they used to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I was as a kid. I was a good kid, and I was a good adult. But I had some really traumatic things happen to me. And well, let me just read. Um, when I was 9 years old, I gave my life to the Lord at a revival. I really did not know what I was doing at the time. I just knew I loved Jesus. I wanted to serve Him all my life, and I wanted to go to heaven. Oh, and I did not want to go to hell. I faithfully served and attended church. As a teenager, I led groups, started ministries, sang in the choir, did all kinds of things.
Just pick up at the reading.
Right. Um, I did not drink, smoke, or even curse. I made straight A's, but never had homework. Work was pretty easy for me. I was mostly a happy and joyful teenager as long as I was not home. I would remember coming home at night. We had a long driveway, almost half a mile down this long dirt road. As I would turn off the road onto our driveway, I could feel myself change. I was always a singer, and I knew every song on the radio. However, when I turned onto our driveway, I became very tense. There was no singing, no smiling. Even if I had a friend with me, I had to prepare myself and get my game face on. You see, I never knew to what I might be coming home. I never knew who might be laying in the yard, who might be passed out, or if they might both be knocked out, or even someone dead. We had anywhere from 50 to 200 cows at any given time. It was always such a joy to me at midnight when the cows were out. Honestly, it was a welcome distraction. I would have to get out of my zone and switch gears and get my country girl on. I would go put the cows in. Afterwards, yes, I would have to put my game face back on. But for those 20 or 30 minutes or so, I had a break. At home, my dog was truly my best friend. I would sit outside and talk to my dog Prince. I was a virgin and I intended to remain that way until I was married. However, that was not to be. I had a boyfriend, or whatever he was. I really don't know what to call him. We loved each other, but I didn't believe he could be faithful to me, so I always turned him down when he would ask me to be his girlfriend. We were together off and on from 8th grade until I was 5 months pregnant with my son. Anyway, my senior year of high school, if I were completely honest, he and I were probably on our way to having sex in a few months. Yes, my plan to remain a virgin wasn't meant to be. However, not remaining a virgin had nothing to do with my boyfriend. I wish, but it was not so. I was raped by a friend. You see, my friends and I went out of town to see a play that night. My boyfriend, or whatever he was, went somewhere with his friends too. On our way back from the play, we stopped at a gas station in a neighboring town. We noticed a fancy new truck, and someone was yelling at us from the truck. We realized it was my other friend's ex-boyfriend. He and I had been really close, like brother and sister. When he and my friend would argue, I was still and always the peacemaker and peacekeeper. I would go back and forth and say, well, she really didn't mean that. She was trying to say blah, blah, blah. And he didn't say it that way. He only meant blah, blah, blah. I was able to see his anger in full effect many times. Not towards me, but I knew it well. He was a type of prima donna in the town. from an affluent family and basically could do no wrong because of his last name. Well, he told me to get in and take a spin in his new truck. Of course, I went. He was a dear friend, my brother, I thought. What was there to worry about? He had protected me from other guys who were trying to mess with me at times. There was never any attraction to him, and I never thought that there was an attraction to me. We were like brothers and sisters. There was no reason not to believe I should go. Well, once I got in, we rode for a minute, I realized he was drunk. Very drunk. I still didn't even drink, smoke, or curse or anything at this point in my life. He was driving crazy, and I was even nauseated, and he was even nauseated as we sat in a train at a train track and the train was going by. He nearly vomited. I remember I was a little nerved up because of his driving, but I kind of thought it was funny because he was nauseated. We rode a little more, and he drove better because I would get upset with him. We drove by the school, and he said for us to let's go play on the school buses. I thought, what in the world? He had already graduated, and I didn't even go to that school. I told him we would get in trouble. He took off anyway, so of course I followed. I was afraid of what stupid thing he might do that would get us really in trouble. Then he reminded me who he was and that he never got in trouble. Well, I really do not remember any playing or any fun on the bus. I just remember him trying to make me have sex with him. I remember telling him I was a virgin and did not want to. Remember, I knew his temper. I reminded him of my boyfriend or whatever he was. I remember trying to fight him off of me. He did not believe I was a virgin, and he certainly didn't believe I didn't want him. Everyone wanted him. The only thing I remember after that is sitting in the back seat of the friend's car I was in earlier. My friends assumed everything went well and wanted to know what all we did. I remember just saying calmly and in a polite, matter-of-fact way, he raped me. My friend said, what do you mean? You had sex? Well, I said, he raped me. I do not remember us talking anymore. I'm not sure if we did. I just don't remember. I was in complete shock. I was in denial. How could this have happened? I've been waiting to have sex until I was married, but at the very least with my boyfriend. How can I undo this? What in the world just happened? I kept thinking, this can't count. I don't really know what that meant. Maybe I meant that surely God could not count this against me. I tried not to remember. I had no bruises. At least I didn't remember any. And I do not remember if he hit me. I just remember I couldn't stop him. This was February 12th, 3 months before I graduated from high school, a month before my 18th birthday. I assumed my friends dropped me off at my car so I could go home, because the next thing I remember was telling them what happened. After telling them what happened, is seeing my boyfriend driving up beside me in my car. It was about midnight. We drove up window to window. I said, I need to talk to you. And he said, I can't right now. I've got to be in. I'm already late. I just said, okay. And I drove home. I remember nothing of the rest of the night or the weekend. Nothing at all. I do not remember feeling anything other than shock and thinking this all had to be a horrible dream. I don't even remember hurting physically until that Monday at school in athletics. My boyfriend and I had a few classes together. I saw him Monday, and he said he came back looking for me that night because he could tell there was something wrong. Back then it was long distance for me and him to talk. We lived about 30 minutes apart, so we did not talk on the phone, just lots of notes or in person. So I proceeded to tell him what happened in our civics class, first period, via notes, the handwritten paper notebooks, old school style. I didn't want to tell him who it was because I didn't want him to fight the guy or try to kill him or something. Oh, I'm forgetting a big part. My boyfriend was black, and we lived in a small podunk town in East Texas with a population of less than 1,000. Needless to say, we had to keep our relationship as low-key as possible, but still everyone knew. You cannot breathe in a little town like that and not have everyone know it. So I didn't tell him who raped me because the guy was the man in that town and could never get in trouble, and my boyfriend was black from a neighboring rival town. If they fought, my boyfriend would probably go to jail or get hurt. Then everyone would know what happened. I did not want anyone to know anything at all about what happened. I also didn't want anyone to know because I didn't want my dad to know. I was in fear that he would try to kill the guy who raped me and go to jail and or assume it was my boyfriend. Remember, I'm the under the radar girl. Well, my boyfriend did ask who it was, and I didn't tell him. I told him I wasn't going to tell him because I knew he already knew him and that they played football against each other, and they really lived about 5 or 6 miles apart. I was so afraid he would be so mad at him and just so outraged that he would just try to kill him or something. But he didn't respond the way I thought he would. As we passed notes back and forth, I remember he wrote back, "You knew what you were doing." I blinked my eyes several times as I read that. Did I read that correctly? I was in shock. What? I wrote him back. Then he says, "You could have done something." My heart fell to the floor. I was in shock again. What? How could this be? How could he say that to me? He knows me. How could he talk to me like that? Like I'm a common whore. He knows me. He knew I was saving myself for marriage and for him. That was our plan. He knew I would never do that. These are all things I hope I said back to him, but I don't remember what I said. I know that his words hurt me almost as much as the rape itself. I expected him to at least want to defend me or to at least want to honor me and stand up for me. I expected to have to pull him back from trying to run out of the classroom to go beat this guy up. However, he did not do any of the sort. He blamed me. Again, I began thinking it was such a horrible bad dream. It kept getting worse and worse. I just wanted to wake up.
You need some water?
I think I'll get some. You okay?
I don't know. Probably need to read a little bit back.
Okay. You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I expected to have to pull him back from trying to run out of the classroom to go beat this guy up. However, he did nothing of the sort. He blamed me. Again, I began thinking it was such a bad dream, horrible nightmare. It kept getting worse and worse. I just wanted to wake up. Well, I would like to say everything was wonderful after that, but not exactly. Not at all. I loved my boyfriend so much, and I didn't want him to think that I was a whore. I kept thinking, how could he think that about me? I loved him. And if I would not have sex with him, how could he think I would have sex with some guy I didn't even love? How could he think that? Doesn't he know I love him? Well, it was a couple of weeks of us just not seeing each other, of him shunning me, and me feeling ashamed and lost in the world. Then we started talking and seeing each other again. We began getting physical, and I felt so obligated to have sex with him, to prove to him I loved him, and we did. We had sex twice. Then I realized I was pregnant. I'd love to say I was pregnant by the rapist, because then aborting that baby would seem okay to most people. I told my boyfriend, and he said, "Well, you just got to do like others do and have an abortion." I'd never even heard of the word before. Plus, being sheltered in a small town did not lend itself to a lot of exposure to those kind of new things. I asked him what an abortion was, and he said, "You just go to the doctor in a sitting about 45 minutes away, give them $300, they do something, and you're not pregnant anymore." I thought to myself, oh my gosh, it's a miracle. With all I've been through in the past few months, the nightmare is finally going to end. At least that was what I thought. I thought God had seen all this and he was fixing it. I had no idea that my nightmare was only getting started good. Well, somehow I came up with $150 and he gave me $150. I told my oldest sister, and at first she thought I was crazy because she thought I was a virgin still. She just laughed and said, "You have to be exposed to get pregnant." Of course, I convinced her I was really pregnant. I did not tell her about the rape, just about me and my boyfriend. She drove me and a friend to the clinic. I went inside by myself while they went to McDonald's. I do not know why I think about that part or why I'm telling it. I guess because it seemed like they were dropping me off at Walmart to grab a few things, and they'd be right back when I was done, like it was just a common everyday occurrence. A woman talked to me, but I remember nothing except they sent me home with a month's supply of birth control pills. She tested me to be sure I was pregnant, and then they took me to what appeared to be an operating room. I stripped naked and I was given a hospital gown. I lay down on the freezing metal table and they strapped me in stirrups. Then these 5 or 6 people in white suits that I'd never seen before and prayed to God I never saw again had their way with my body. At least that's how it felt. I felt so violated, raped all over again. I've always been very modest. I had only had sex 3 times and once was rape, and now here I am naked, exposed and vulnerable to strangers. Again, I had no idea what abortion was at the time. I thought it was a blessing from God. I dare say I didn't know, but my spirit, my heart knew. Why do I say that? I say that because I lay there wide awake as these people violated me again, and tears poured from the corners of my eyes and rolled into my ears. A nurse put cotton balls in my ears. I think she did that instead of wiping my tears so that she would not feel for me, so her heart would not get involved in her job. Afterwards, I remember walking to the car. My sister and my friend were joking and laughing about something to do with McDonald's pancakes. I was hungry but wanted to throw up. The next thing I remember was waking up in my friend's living room, in the floor. My appointment had been that morning, but when I woke up, it was dark outside and dark in that room. Only the TV was on, and I was wrapped in blankets, and as I raised up, I noticed my boyfriend sitting in the dark in the chair in the corner watching me sleep. I lay back down and went back to sleep. It was April 20th, and I had been 10 weeks pregnant. That's just the first rape and the first abortion. And there's a lot of other abuse and things that I went through. I don't want to sound like I'm just trying to brag about the things that I've survived, but my life's not just always been pretty. No, it's not. And I understand they want to be able to relate to someone who's gone through something. And this is just a portion of my story. But I use this story, this portion, to show the steps of the healing process and how I used the process that God gave me in order to attain healing and ultimately freedom from the control of my past.
That sounds very powerful. Thank you for sharing that with us.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking.